Welcome back to Meaningful Conversations. My name is Beata Seweryn-Reid, your host, coach, speaker, and I have a very, very awesome guest with me today. His name is, okay, Mark, I think I didn't really check with you how to pronounce your last name, but if I screw it up, please let me know.
Sure.
His name is Mark
Mittlesteadt.
Mittlesteadt. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no problem. Nobody pronounces it right.
I'm so thankful having you here. We are gonna touch very deep subject and question that many of us ask ourselves, but not really deliver the answer. But before we go there, I would like to share with our audience who you are, because you are a man of many talents. You are a writer, and your recent book is The Alchemy of Purpose. And I'm so thankful for receiving it and reading. Like you can tell, I have this, marked, sentences highlighted because I like to do it and like see it. I'm visual. You also used to be musician, but what is your main job right now? You are also a coach, so please share with our audience who you are and what you do.
Well, it's interesting how you phrase that too, who you are and what you do. Isn't it interesting that when we first get introduced to somebody, the very first thing we do is, what's your name? And then they ask us, so what do you do? And a lot of people get confused with what we do with who we are. And really what we do is not who we are. It's just a role we play. It's identities and labels that we get kind of caught up in. And that's why the confusion of trying to answer the question is, who am I and why am I here, can cause a lot of struggle for us. Because what happens is our identity is programmed into us. And as we go through life, we get so tied to that identity that whenever it's causing us some problems, we're like, okay, now what do I do? How do I deal with this? So the two biggest questions I like to ask, and that's what the topic of our discussion is today, I ask my clients right out. It's the very first thing we touch on. Who am I? Why am I here? Now, why are these questions so important? Well, it's the basis of my teaching, and it's really the basis of my book, because I want people to discover who they really are at their core and what their purpose is for being here. Why do we even exist in the first place? And there is a universal purpose that we all need to fulfill. We express it uniquely, but there is a purpose, a reason for our existence that's bigger than just what we do, like for our career or the identities that we take on or the roles. So who am I and why am I here? Well, the answer to that first question, who am I?
Before you go there, I want to actually ask you what motivates, because you work with your clients on that. But before we go there and go deep on that subject, I want to know for our audience, and we have Melissa, Marta, Nancy, Dawn, Zoltan with us, and whoever named I can see, please let us know that you are with us. Have your questions ready, because Mark is here live with us. It's the only chance to, like right now, to get maybe the answers that you were thinking about for a long time. But again, going back to my question is because I'm so curious about that. What motivated you to search for the answers to such profound questions, or question, who am I and why am I here? What was your motivation or experience?
Well, I discovered what I thought was my purpose way back when I was like 10 years old. My mother was an artist, And I just saw beauty all around me. And when I tried sharing it with my friends, you know, being like around 10 years old, what did they care? You know, they didn't really see it. And I couldn't understand how they couldn't see it. And I set kind of a course on being an artist. And I became an artist. And I thought that that was my purpose. And I went through that my whole life thinking, this is my purpose for being here. I'm an artist. I'm here to create art. But the problem is that whenever I wasn't creating art, I was very unhappy. And I was also a musician, and I kind of identified with that. But whenever I wasn't playing music or creating art, I wasn't happy. In fact, when I wasn't doing those things, when I wasn't, quote, fulfilling my purpose, I got very depressed. I suffered a lot from depression because I'm like, wow, well, what am I doing here? Oh, I'm making paintings and I'm making music, but when I'm not doing that, who am I? So I set this course out, you know, of my life, trying to really answer those two questions. Who am I and why am I here? And I think we all really do that. But I think we get so caught up in these labels and roles and these false identities that we never stop to ask the question anymore, who am I? But we continue to ask the question, why am I here? And we keep seeking our purpose, but you'll never discover your purpose if you don't really know who you are first. and the reason for that is that the answer to the first question sets our identity. Who am I? This is what we'll identify ourselves as. And because that's our identity, it automatically answers the second question. Whatever your answer is to the first question, will answer the second question. Who am I? This is my identity. Okay, so why am I here? Okay, so your identity sets your purpose. And
All right.
Your purpose sets your intention.
I have to stop you here because it's so deep. It sounds so simple when you are saying that, because you already are on the journey. You did the work, and you mentioned about the labels, which I believe we all have them, and even the jobs that we identify ourselves with, like you said,
sure.
What you do or who you are. It's like, oh, I'm an artist. Oh, I'm a teacher, or I'm a coach. But how do you strip these layers and these labels so you do know who you are? And how do you identify your true self then? Like, how was it for you? Because I think it sounds so easy, but for random people,
it's simple, but it's not easy. There's a lot of things we can do that are simple in life, but that's not necessarily easy. I mean, it's really simple to lose weight. You eat right, you exercise, you have a good mindset and a good attitude about life, and you can lose weight. But we all know it's not really easy. We go off our diet, we stop exercise. I mean, how could something that's so simple also not be easy? A lot of it's due to the programming, the ego inside our head that's always talking to us and sabotaging us. And that really goes back to who am I and why am I here? We don't ask ourselves that often enough, or we don't attempt to answer it. Even if we do ask it, we don't really explore those questions deep enough.
That is a great answer. And this identity, I think it's also another deep topic, because as you mentioned, we identify ourselves through jobs, but people who I work with, they often identify themselves through their relationships.
Through their relationships, through their problems.
Yes.
They identify themselves with their health issues. They identify themselves by their careers, whether they're healthy or not, or their relationships. It all gets tied together in this mix of who am I really that's dealing with all this stuff.
So in your book, and also from what you are saying now about these labels, I want to go back, because I think it defines us often, and we don't know how to change it, and change is scary, so people don't want to go there. So you say about so what are labels? what are labels? I believe it's our thoughts, but can you reveal more about what is it for you?
Sure. You know, we have literally, all of us have been programmed with certain thoughts and beliefs about who we are and why we're here. I mean, we all have been. Our parents tell us because we don't know. We're babies and we grow into children, and then we become adults. And this whole time, it's all been programmed into us. So our roles and our labels have been given to us without our permission, without even our awareness. You know, you're a child and children are meant to be seen, not heard, or, you know, whatever, all these little rules that people come up with, you know. So you're a child, that's a label. That's your role. So your role, you know, as the child of your parents, and you have to obey your parents. And so that's an identity, but that changes. At some point, you're no longer a child, you become an adolescent, and an adolescent becomes an adult, and our roles change. And now all of a sudden we go out there and we get jobs, and now all of a sudden our roles and our identity have changed yet again. Well, now whatever we take on as a job, it's like, well, what do you do? And now we get caught up in that our identity is what we do. However, if, like, let's say, for instance, you're a teacher, you're like a school teacher, and somebody says, well, who are you? Well, I guess I'm a teacher. I'm like, okay, so who are you when you're not teaching? Nothing, nobody. So you're not really answering the deeper question. We are not what we do. Because if that were the case, then even when we're not doing it, we're still that. And we can't be doing that 24 hours a day. So we're still missing a piece of the puzzle as to who we are.
I love it. I love it. And since it's all in our thoughts, and I love I will quote you, what you think you create, you said in your book. Mm-hmm. So I believe that these labels are our limitations, and they keep us stuck in unknown, I mean, about who we are stopping us to even ask this question. So how can one think these limitations from our thoughts?
Well, you know, a perfect example of when you're these identities and roles we take on, when you answer the question, who am I? And a really big example is, let's say you've suffered some trauma in your life, childhood trauma, adult trauma, abusive relationships, whatever it is. Now, you can answer that question, who am I, by saying, I'm a victim. Okay, so now that you've identified yourself as a victim, because our identity sets our purpose, if you think you're a victim, what's your purpose? To suffer. And then that sets the intention of fulfilling that purpose by going out and seeking situations and people that continue to cause you to suffer. And it's all tied to your identity. You think you're a victim, and so you keep perpetuating it in every aspect of your life.
Wow, this is so great question, and I wrote it. I mean, thoughts. I wrote it down. That so many of us, and I was once this person who thought that is a victim of life, and I was seeking for suffering. I was seeking for confirmation that the world is doing the pain to me, not external. That I do it to myself. Yes, yeah, absolutely. So so this question is actually from one of my friends. I don't know him really, but he follows me on Facebook, and I asked for questions for you, and he said, does answering the question, who am I and why I'm here, reveal my purpose?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, people will ask me, they're like, okay, so how do you answer the question? And honestly, I kind of blow people away with this, because they'll say, well, how do I answer the question? I often like to think, and I even put up little signs around that remind me of this. I am God experiencing myself. And then people are like, whoa, so what, you think you're God? I'm like, yeah, and so are you. And so are you. And so are you. I mean, everybody is. Now, if you take away like the religious definition of it, but if you think of God as God is love, so then you can think of yourself that I am love itself. So what's my purpose? To express love in everything I do. And how do you do that? It doesn't matter what you do. That's our universal purpose, is love. If God is love and we are love itself, then we can express love in everything we're doing, no matter how we uniquely express our purpose, no matter what we're doing for careers or anything. If we are love and we're expressing love, then we will choose careers that fulfill that expression of love by finding careers that are fulfilling and meaningful to us because we love ourselves. If we are love itself and our purpose is love, we'll take care of our health, because out of the love for ourselves, we will want to take care of our health and eat right and exercise. If we want to have healthy relationships, it all starts with loving ourselves first, because now we're no longer depending on other people to justify or fill an emptiness or void in ourselves, because we already love ourselves. Therefore, the relationships we have are healthier and loving. Everything comes from this whole idea of, if we can learn to say, who am I? I am love itself, and my purpose in life is to express that love. And it can branch off in and change everything. It's a big perspective shift.
I totally agree, and I love our conversation. But this love, this word is so huge, and from my own experience and people around me, I see that it lost the meaning. The meaning is, it's so broad right now, because especially here in US, I noticed, I said, oh, I love it. Oh my God, I love you too. So
I love pizza.
Yeah, yes.
So what does it mean?
Right. It's so common. Like, I think that the power in this word is, the meaning has changed. So how do
we define love?
Right, for people who are, because we all searching for it. At the end, all we want is to be loved and to give love. And especially, and you mentioned that in your book as well, I grew up as a Catholic in church. So this is scary subject, because it's confusing for people. They say,
sure,
love yourself, and then they say, don't be selfish. If you love yourself too much, you are selfish. Help others.
That's part of the programming. That's
right.
part of the programming. So, don't take care of yourself. Take care of everybody else, even if you have nothing to give anymore.
Right.
Burnt out, and yeah.
I love what you just said. If you have nothing else to give, still give. So I have people like that surrounded me, and I teach them, but I think not all of us still understand what does it mean to love ourselves. Is there any, how can you respond to that? How do I love myself without all the what words is saying?
It goes back to that answer that I give, where people are like, how can you say you're God? When I say I am God experiencing myself. Well, we are a manifestation of whatever created us. No matter how you believe in it, if it's the consciousness of the universe, the grand creator, God, however we want to do it, whatever our belief is. And the reason why I say I am God experiencing myself, if I use an analogy, if you think of God as like the ocean, all right, and as individual human beings, we're water drops. Okay, we're these unique water drops. Now, all water eventually goes back to the ocean. Now, can you imagine God, who created everything, including us, He's the ocean, or it's the ocean, however you want to look at it. Now, these water drops will evaporate, right, and become distinct individual water drops of the ocean, a manifestation of God. And these water drops go up into the air, and these water drops experience life. So God gets to experience life. If God's the ocean, he gets to experience life as a water droplet. He also gets to experience what it means to be fog, a cloud, rainfall, waterfalls, lakes, streams, rivers. And we all fall into these little bodies of water thinking, oh, I belong to the lake group. And that's what God means. This is your little religious view. I'm a lake, and I don't believe in ponds. And the people in ponds don't believe in lakes. And neither of them believe in rivers. And we all have these individual belief systems, but we all eventually return back to the ocean. And once we become absorbed back into this huge body of the ocean, we are no longer individual water drops, but we are the ocean itself. So when I say, I am God experiencing myself, we're a part of something. It's this oneness. And when you can come from a place of oneness, you no longer have to look at yourself as this unique being that's just sitting out here suffering all by yourself, that we're all a part of this experience together. And most, like Christian religions, in the Bible, it says God is love. Well, if God is love and we are of God, just like if God was the ocean, we are of the ocean, then we are love itself too. And so you can think of love as being the all-encompassing being that we are, not romantic love, not loving pizza or chocolate, or loving having a weekend off, or these silly little notions we have about love, but the grand picture, the big picture of what love really is. And we are an expression of that love. And so then we express it in our life. And that's how God can experience life, through us. And we experience life through him. It's this big circle of life, of love.
And I believe you cannot, you can maybe, but it didn't come just like this for you one day. It's a journey that you grow
and I'm
through.
Still growing with it.
Oh, absolutely. We all do. Before I ask the next question, I want to say thank you. Bill is with us, Bill Cortright. Thank you for joining us. David, Jennifer, Garlene, and Garlene, actually, she has a question. She says, how love transforms life, Mark, your experience?
How love
transforms life.
Okay. If we were to look at our life and this whole idea of who am I, by these roles and the identity that we have, these identities we have largely been given to us. We believe these things about ourselves. If our parents taught us we were worthless, if they were like really parents who just kind of held us down, kept us back, or we have relationships with people who keep telling us that we're not worthy or we're not good enough, that becomes our identity, right? So now we're no longer living in love. We're living in fear, we're living in guilt, we're not dealing with life from a proper perspective. If the identity is that we're worthless because that's what we've always been taught, well, then our purpose also is kind of worthless. And we just meander through life struggling to find out why we're here in the first place. So, when it comes to love and, how that transforms or can transform our life, when we understand who we really are at our core, it's all of a sudden all the limitations are gone. We're not the roles we play. We're not this false identity we've been programmed to believe. Who we are limitless beings capable of being and doing anything we want. And when we're doing it out of love, we can express it in everything we do.
Garlene says, true, very well said, Mark. Great, thanks. Thank you. And I have a question again from someone who sent it to me. how do I know my life has meaning? Do we all need to have meaning in life?
Well, we create meaning. I mean, purpose is not something we actually seek. It's been given to us right upon our birth. Our purpose has already been set for us. And because it's buried under all these labels and roles that we play, that we can't even see it for what it is, even though it's right there in front of us. And we can get too caught up in this stuff where we're not really fulfilling our purpose. We're fulfilling other people's expectations and obligations.
Love it. I just said love it, yeah. So it's I use that word too, love it. It's so common now. But you said very, very important words, because again, these identities that we believe we have are holding us back from who we could be and share with the world our purpose. And I love what you said in your book. You said living on purpose is willingness to change our current thoughts and beliefs.
Yes.
Page 106. And I hear it and I teach it, but I'm visual again. I need to. So when I seen this word, I was like, God, I am a change and transition coach, but this word put me in a thinking mode, because change is scary for people, and it's usually something that we cannot touch. It's invisible, and thoughts and beliefs are invisible. So how can random Mark or random Beata, that maybe they are just at the beginning of their self-development journey or self-awareness journey, how they can approach the thoughts and beliefs that are stopping them from living on purpose?
Well, in my teaching, I have what I call the mindset reset. Basically, what we have to do is deprogram ourselves. We have been programmed with these faulty thoughts and beliefs, limiting thoughts and beliefs that have been given to us until about age 7. So we're all set. Our parents told us what to think, how to think, and what to believe, how to believe, and all these thoughts and beliefs about who we are and what we're meant to do with our life and how the world around us has already been set in there. Now, beliefs, as I mentioned in the book, beliefs are just a collection of thoughts we hold to be true, even when they're not true. So if you have a belief in yourself that you're not good enough, that's just a belief you hold. Is that true? It's a limiting belief. You might have been taught that your whole life and been reinforced. And because you hold that belief and it's part of your identity, you keep working from the idea that you're not good enough. That's your belief system. But we really have to explore how we've been programmed. And there's evidence all around us how we've been programmed. Think about all the marketing that goes on around us, selling us products and services, constantly bombarded with a marketing kind of propaganda that teaches us how to think and believe about things. And we've been largely programmed. This is what you do with your life. You grow up, you get married, you have a job, you have children, you work until you retire, and the only thing you can really look forward to are weekends, vacations, and retirement, if you live long enough to do that. So we've been programmed, this is what our life is. And so we get caught up in the drudgery of the day-to-day. I got to go to work today. I hate Mondays. Oh, I look forward to Fridays because then the weekend will be mine. That's all programming. But we have to learn to understand that we've all been programmed, and we have to understand how we've been programmed, and then get through this deprogramming thing to get back to who we really are and what our true purpose is here.
And I can tell you, people, that this book can help you to get this answer. So tell us more what I know what I could get, but what someone who is listening to us and watching us now, where are you taking them? On what kind of journey are you taking him through this book?
Well, in this book, the very first thing I do is explain the elements of purpose, which are, the elements of the mind, our thoughts, beliefs, and our imagination. When we understand what those really mean and how we can use them to our best advantage, we can get into then the elements of our purpose, which is, our intentions, the expression and the manifestation of our purpose, and how we can use these elements to create a better life. So the beginning of my book is describing all the elements of purpose. And after that, I get into how and why we've been programmed. And I give examples as to how and why we've been programmed. And I think anybody reading it's going to go, they'll be able to see themselves in it like, oh, wow, yeah, I guess I never even really realized that all these thoughts and beliefs were given to me without my even being aware that I was programmed. And then as it goes through explaining how and why we've been programmed, it goes a little deeper into searching who we are, why we're here, and how we can get rid of these limiting thoughts and beliefs and reinvent ourselves. And then after that, it goes into exercises we can use to actually help deprogram us. Being comfortable with ourselves in silence and solitude, meditating, journaling, saying affirmations, the things that we typically hear from life coaches, but there's practical exercises you can do to get rid of this program and to develop a new way to think about life.
That is so true. And I promise you that what he is talking about, he's delivering in here. And before we end our wonderful conversation, do you have any other questions, people? I see Garlene is still with us, Martha, Nancy, Dawn, Wes, Matthew, Isabella. Please, if you have, Bill is still with us as well. So if you have any questions, please write them now, because we are almost at the end of our interview. Mark, how people can find you? What is the easier way to connect and follow your teachings?
Well, I'm on Facebook under my name, Mark Mittlesteadt. I also have a Facebook group page called The Alchemy of Purpose, which I set up because I really believe social media has become a cesspool of complaining and negativity. And I think that we really need to get together and put out a more positive message of the world, that the world's a much better place than a lot of people tend to think it is. So the Alchemy of Purpose Facebook group is a place where you can find some very life-affirming, positive, inspiring thoughts. And so you can follow me on Facebook under my name, under the Alchemy of Purpose. You can also go to my website, which is www.theartistwithin.com. But remember, there's hyphens between the words, so it's the-artist-within.com. That's my website, and you can also email me through there or contact me, through my website or my Facebook group.
Garlene said that she will join. Thank you so much. Melissa said, I agree about social media being so negative. Don't know
it can be. It doesn't have to be, but it can be, yeah.
Yes, and my last question, the summarizing, one of your exercises that I did and I would like to do it again soon is this dare to dream again. Can you share these questions that we can ask in any area of our life, and we basically should ask those questions to get more clarity and dream again?
Yeah, well, that's part of one of the elements of the mind, in the elements that I describe in the beginning of my book: thoughts, beliefs, and imagination. Our imagination has been programmed out of us. I mean, wouldn't you agree that our parents, not with any ill intent, it's just the nature of programming and society, they basically told us, you don't need your imagination anymore. This is the course that's been set for your life. You don't have to, throw away your imagination and your dreams. That's not practical.
That's so true.
It really, it goes back to who am I and why am I here? If you're not using your imagination to create your life, you're just living on autopilot. You're just going through the motions. So we need to use our
many people
imagination.
do.
We need to use our imagination and dream about the kind of life we want to have, the same kind of dreaming we did when we were children and we believed we had no limitations.
Thank you so very much, Mark.
Sure, thank you.
I don't see any other questions. You all can, of course, reach out to Mark, and I encourage you to do so and ask the questions that maybe you are not comfortable to share online. And from me, I'm so thankful that you agreed to stay to join me and stay for this half an hour. I really appreciate our conversation. You inspire me, and I wish there were more people who will be so positive and share this positive view to the world. So thank you again for joining me today.
Sure, thank you.
And
thank you. And I'm very grateful, and I think all of us, have a great opportunity to really make the world a better place, and it all starts with us.
Especially now. And again, who am I and why I'm here is a very profound question. But on the other hand, like Mark said, it's simple. We are just overthink it and make it more difficult. But if you don't know who you are and why are you here, how you will know where you are going? And this is, today is today, but there is also tomorrow. So think about that. Ask questions, give me your feedback, and again, connect with Mark because he's an expert in that area, and get his teachings and join his group. And again, Mark, thank you so very much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone.